Hey, I just want to put on down on the video everything I've learned about LED lighting. I'm particularly focused on lighting associated with IoT projects or small art projects, not necessarily lighting your whole home. But I want to show you some options that I've learned about, and later on, hopefully I'll build a video where we'll complete this entire test rig, and I'll show you some of these lighting options in action. So, just start with something here very simple. It's basically a unit you can buy out of the box that has coin cell batteries in it. I got this one on Adafruit. Turn on and off the batteries and you got 12 LEDs that light. Here where the plan is to put these in a box and mount those in such a way, and then you could put plexiglass over top and make some sort of lit stand. So that is actually very simple and very cheap. I think you can get that for under $10, but it's really just on and off, make a light in the room. You know, one of the other extremes is to go something where you actually have a computer controlled light system here, and I built this small project about a year ago. You can see here I can individually address the different colors of the lights. That's an LED technology called NeoPixel. But in order for you to do that, you have to have an Arduino or some sort of CPU that calculates it. And in this case here, I've used a portable battery similar to what's in your cell phone. So what I really want to do is look at an inventory of everything that was available, and we focused in on doing a sprint more or less than just understand lighting. So here's a light strip. You can see that this really just has two, get in here. This has two conductors here. It really has just two wires on the end. And this is a lighting scenario for a white LEDs. And you can see there that this, you can cut them into individual segments, and you can see though this requires 12 volts, and I'll power that up later. But typically these things come with a plug that plugs into the wall, and here this one is a 12 volt plug, but requires 1 amp. See if I can record these a little better. Okay, so there you go. You can see 1 amp and 12 volts there. So, but typically what they'll do is plug into some sort of controller. This happens to be a larger one, and in this case that then plugs into a lighting arrangement, but we'll look at that later. There's also an alternative that we were able to find on Amazon, the same smaller controller, right? This is the RF signal that allows you to have a remote control. So this is very good for something like Christmas lights or just mood lighting in the background. I'll show that later. But these typically run three, you know, this is RGB, 3 individual colors, and power line. And so those controllers usually, here's an example of an RGB light. Again, out of the box, it's just RGB. See, there you can see. You can see that the pixels or that the LEDs are a little different there too, but it's individual addressable RGB lines, and in this case this has a device on it. But I've actually taken the time in some instances to actually program my own or build my own on the end. And here's an example here where, again, it's RGB, right? You can see, again, you can see the individual pixels inside there, the individual colors. It tries to make a white based on RGB. This just had wires on it, and I just kind of zap them together and then put them together in this as a little control device. But basically by putting power to any one of the RGB, that turns it on, and that's essentially what the controllers do. This was a convenient little splitter I bought, and having the splitter hooked up to, again now, a controller with a RF on there, then I can have two sets of lights work parallel, and again we'll set that up. So one last thing, I want to talk about these things for the more advanced projects, the NeoPixels. Now this setup here, you can zoom in on it. You can see that it has a direction of flow, right, and 5 volts associated with it. You can see that each one of the LEDs is broken up into RGB, but they are all individually addressable, and that's how we got the multicolor technique going on with this light. Here I have them all red right now, and then over time they'll fade into multiple colors, right, all controlled by the controller on the back. So those things are available in a variety of different solutions. You can get them in a ring shape, same kind of NeoPixel technology, or you can get them as individuals, and here we put together decorative heart design, and with a little small controller in the back to control the colors there. So give me a chance here and I'll set this up and show you some of these lights and details. I do want to take the time to then point out that, you know, your typical LEDs that people are expecting are these kind of big bulb LEDs, and those are great. That if you're going to put them together, I think that the strips work a little better because there's less wiring involved, there's less soldering. Here you're going to find yourself soldering individual items, but if that's what you need to do, then go ahead and do that. So I'll demonstrate how those work with my trusty breadboard and this piece of technology that I put together here, which is a test rig to test lighting, different lighting scenarios. So this is the first version of the test rig. I think with what I've learned in doing this so far, I'm going to build a whole new version, and I'll set you up with, I'll let you know how I do that. But let me just set this up and we'll actually run through the light test scenarios.